left poor Moses as an old man standing on the threshold, just a distance from the promised land, with great misty-eyed sense of his having to live with the idea and soon die with the idea that he was never going to enter the promised land and lead his people into the promised land. And just, I really do think that there is an awful lot in that. And actually what happens, I think, afterwards, my understanding was that I would just end my story with that highly, I think, emotive position of, I suppose, the old and dying Moses on the threshold of the promised land. And that is a very, very, it's obviously a very sad, but also something of an allegory, maybe, of what this bringing these people, those that had in good faith, that maybe Marguerite was describing as living well within community, etc. He did all he did was what was commanded of him. He certainly lost his temper at times and was prone to violence, obviously, in killing the Egyptian overseer, and striking the rock twice and maybe swaggering to some degree that this was his power, not through the power of his God, and that this in itself, never entering the promised land, was his penance, his, I suppose, what God was in fact saying, you lost faith with me. Your people lost faith. They built a golden calf. But I think I'm going to just, rather than anything else now, I think I just leave it at that, just being on that threshold. And I know we're going to hear a little bit more of what the promised land, and our imaginations can go right through a lot of current political bickering since the 1948 and the, I suppose, the the sending Arabs out of the land of Israel as they would see it. So, Sandy, I'm not actually going to go further than that. I'd actually thought I was going to, in fact, I accelerated a bit. I thought I was just going to leave it at that. But
have you anything about what happened then when they did get to the promised land?
Yeah, I did, but I'm not going to. No, I did. The sense of a great power, their God, saying, irrespective of who is in this land, this is yours. This is my promise to you, and it doesn't matter who the hell have their families and tribes that are there now, because these 2 million Israelites have a right, the right of chosenness, the right of being God's people, by being chosen by God and all of the ancestries that came down through to the lawgiver that was Moses. And I'm staying with him, just looking out, and I'm not going to say anything more.
Because these people were the ites, weren't they?
They were, yes. And all of those people that God recites the fact to Moses that I am promising this land, and he goes through all of the various tribes that the land of these, but to hell with that. This place is yours. This land is my land. This land is your land. This land is the chosen people's land. And they could do what they wish, because God was on their side. and that reverberates right through history, to various chosenness that we speak of otherwise. So
So
yeah,
were all the ites just wiped out then?
no, I can't say. My understanding was that when the people came, and they did certainly displaced, but there was also a lot that actually lived. Now, whether they lived as um, lived as being nearly people of bondage, but the Israelites were yeah, the fervor of God being on their side.